Hi, I'm going to show you how to set up Azure Bastion premium feature for session recording. So we can use that for advanced compliance and auditing purposes. So we can see exactly what users have been doing on their computer screens and their sessions. It records the whole session and we can then play those back for forensics, compliance, auditing. So I'll just show you how to quickly set that up in Azure Bastion Premium now. Okay, for this demo, we've got an environment set up. It consists of an Azure Bastion Premium instance here. We've also got a VM that we'll use to connect to, and we also have the storage account, which we'll look at next for how to configure that to allow Bastion to be able to store the video session recordings into there. But if we start with the Bastion demo, let's take a look at that. So the first thing we need to do is enable the session recording feature, so we can do that under the premium instance only. So we'll hit apply on that one. Now that can take a few minutes to sort itself out. Okay, so we've set that up, and now let's take a look at the storage account. Okay, so in order to use the session recording feature of Bastion, we need to have a storage account to store the recordings. So it basically saves them in, I think it's an MP4 format. It saves them in a container. You need to basically give access to the Bastion service to be able to connect to that container and see and record those sessions. So we're going to go into our storage container here, and then if we go down to settings and go to cores, we're going to put in the blob service here, we need to put in the URL of our Azure Bastion. I'm just going to grab that, I've already saved. I'll show you where to get that from in a second. So the allowed origin, so this is the service that we want to be able to access this storage account. The method is get, and here maximum age in seconds, so just put something like that. That's the amount of time that it can access it. Save that, and I'll show you where we get this. So if we go to our Azure Bastion, we'll be able to see the public DNS name there as well. Okay, so what we also need to do is generate a SAS token on our storage account as well. So for our container, so if we go to our container, click on that, and then we've got a container called recordings here. If I click on that and do shared access tokens, I'm going to generate a new shared access token. So the permissions that we need are going to be read, create, write, and list. And what you want is something slightly in the past. So I'm just going to do 1:50 p.m. and just put a longer one in there. So the expiration, I'm going to generate that token there, and then copy this. Make sure you get the bottom one, the blob SAS URL. So I've copied that. Go to my Azure Bastion, and then go to my session recordings. And then if you haven't already done it, it will say configure that. So if I add or update, I'll just paste that one in, upload that. Now it's got the actual keys that it needs to access that storage account as well for that during that period that we specified. So now we should be able to then connect to our server. Connect. Right, Bastion. Now this is going to record everything I do inside this session, so you know, this is a really good feature for where you need that extra compliance and auditing. So for example, let's say I want to go into, let's turn Defender off. Now these things are normally set by policies and things that users can't change anyway, but what about your admins, for example, or if you don't have those specific things to capture everything, you may want to see who's installing what. Let's open firewall again, and let's allow some connection through remote monitoring, those kind of things. Let's do that. Let's also open up an admin session, PowerShell admin session. So I could then, from here, your user could then connect to an FTP site or something, start uploading documents or copying data from your organization. So in this case, we'll just run an IP config, for For example, see I'm connected via the internal IP range. You can see there because I've got my Azure point to site VPN running. So I've got another video on how to set up the point to site with your Entra ID credentials as well. So now let's just close this down. And then let's look at session recordings. And I'll see my recording here is 128 minutes long. View recording. And I can see exactly the session that the users have been, what they've been up to during the, yeah, I could skip forward and backwards as well. Click on the blue line here. So here's my admin session. And that's it. So we can see now exactly how to configure that as your Bastion. So just to recap, we've got to make sure this feature is enabled, the session recording feature. Make sure you're on the premium SKU. We can view the sessions from here, session recording. And the important part is make sure you've got your storage account configured as well. So as we looked at here, we had our storage account. We've got the core setting here at the storage account level with the ID of our Bastion, get, and the number of time in seconds. And we've also got our container, which is our recordings container. And we set up a shared access token. So we can't see that now, but we could create another one and replace it. So we went into here, set up read, create, write, and list, a timestamp slightly in the past, a longer expiry, generate the SAS token URL. I can generate another one, and it's this bottom blob SAS URL you want to use, and then you paste that into your Bastion here under session recordings, and you've got the add or update SAS URL here. You can put that in, and then that will give the Bastion access to that. And there we are. So there's a quick demo of how you can use Azure Bastion and the session recording feature to record the sessions of what your users are doing in your environment for compliance and auditing purposes. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. Check out the other video on the point to site VPN to show how we set up that secure private network from one device to our private Azure network as well. So that's how we connect to that virtual machine in this demo as well. So that may be useful. And yeah, don't forget to follow, subscribe, and thanks very much.